Do you struggle with ankle complaints? And by ankle complaints, I mean tendinopathies, recurrent ankle sprains, or just ankle complaints that have never been formally diagnosed by a health professional. If you do suffer from ankle complaints and you're an office worker, there's every chance that these ankle complaints are caused by something that you're doing when you're sitting at your desk all day. You might not feel these ankle complaints whilst you're sitting at the desk. You might notice them when you run, you might notice it when you do deadlifts, you might notice it when you play tennis. The ankle complaints that you experience may happen outside of the office, but there's every chance that the cause is inside of the office. At the ERGO Collective, we believe that most people's body complaints come from their poor static postures. And where do we do most of those? At work, of course. What we do is we consider your postural, your behavioural, and your ergonomic considerations that you do over the course of a 40-hour work week to see if any of these contributing elements can be the cause of your ankle complaints. If you do struggle from ankle complaints and you're curious to know why they're happening, watch the rest of this video and we'll see if we can nut out what it is. Let's talk about the anatomy of the ankle and how it's designed to work and where we run into trouble as an office worker in terms of ankle complaints. When we sit at our desk, what should happen is we should have a 90-degree angle through our hips and our knees, and the transfer of our body weight when we're sitting should go straight down from our knees through our lower leg into our heel. The ankle position should be set so that your lower leg and your foot are at 90 degrees. This is the position that the ankle loves to be in. When we sit, the weight of our legs is significant, and it's important to do is that weight transfer goes straight down into our heel. Now, our heel is a really strong, stable, capable bone, and it's built to withstand our body weight and support our body weight, whether we're sitting or standing. As an office worker, when you sit, it's really important that the weight of your legs goes through your heel. Where you run into trouble as an office worker with ankle complaints is when we have this habit of rolling our ankles over or tucking our feet underneath. In any of these positions, what we're doing is we're introducing a really poor torsional strain through that ankle joint, which is designed to be square. The problem is when you introduce these torsional strains is you end up putting stress and strain through areas of the ankle that are just simply not designed to take that weight. Say, for instance, if you roll your ankles over when you sit in your office chair, instead of your body weight punching down through that heel, all of a sudden the weight of your legs wants to punch out through that lateral ankle. This isn't its job. It is absolutely not designed to withstand the body weight of your legs whilst you're sitting. And it can do it for a little bit, but if you sit with your ankles rolled over excessively over the course of an office day, you put a huge amount of torsional strain through your ankle, which can predispose it to injury. If you suffer from recurrent ankle sprains, sitting with your ankles rolled out is an absolute cause of doing this. The other thing that you need to consider in terms of ankles is when our ankle is square and our weight is through our heel, there's very little muscle input that's required to maintain this position because it's really stable. Where you run into trouble with tendinopathies, whether it's through your Achilles or through your foot, is a tendinopathy is an overuse injury. Now, the muscles in your lower leg are sprint muscles. They're designed to be used periodically, and they're designed to be used on, off, on, off. These muscles consume heaps of energy. They're really powerful, but they also fatigue really quickly. The problem with ankle issues is when you rotate your ankle and put a torsional strain through your ankle, the body freaks out because it doesn't want to be in this awkward position. So what happens is the musculature in your lower leg will engage to try and correct the angling through that ankle. The problem is you don't change your ankle position. So all day, every time you have your foot tucked underneath you, the muscles in your lower leg are pulling, trying to correct that angle, but you don't move. And then what happens is because you've over-recruited those muscles all day, you end up with a vulnerability to tendinopathies. If you do suffer from ankle discomfort or you do struggle with ankle problems, your sitting posture at work is a really fundamental cause for some of these things. So let's go through some of the ergonomic, the postural, and the behavioural things that office workers do that predispose you to ankle complaints. The first ergonomic consideration that we need to think about is whether your office chair is too high. As we were just discussing, it's really important that the weight of your legs punches straight down from your knees through that heel bone. If your office chair is too high, what you tend to do is you have to be up on your toes. Toes are not load absorbing joints. They're not designed to absorb the weight of your legs. So what tends to happen is if you do end up on your toes, you have a really unstable foot positioning, and what you have a predisposition to do is to roll your ankle out while you're sitting at that office chair. So it's really important that you adjust your chair height to suit the elbow to desk ratio, being that your elbows should always clear the height of your desk. And then if you find that your feet do not sit comfortably on the ground, you'll require a footrest. Another ergonomic consideration in terms of ankle complaints is ensuring if you do need a footrest that it is height adjustable. Once you've got the chair to the right height, if your feet no longer touch the ground, the distance from your heels to the floor will vary from person to person. So ensuring that your footrest is adjustable to make it customized for you is very important. If the height is incorrect, this can predispose you to ankle complaints. From a postural perspective, sitting with your ankle rolled out like this is one of the worst things you can do with your ankles. Do you suffer from recurrent ankle sprains? This is the single biggest cause of them. Have a look at your poor ankle. Look at the angle that you're putting on it. Look how much tension and strain you're putting through that outside aspect. If you hold your ankle in this position all the time, it's in a rolled out position. When you go and walk down the street or when you go for a walk along the beach, if your ankle's continually rolled out all day at work, it's going to want to continually roll outside of work. If you do suffer from ankle sprains, this is something I really would encourage you to consider. It's really important, as we've discussed, to make sure that the load of your leg is going through your heel. Another postural consideration in terms of ankle complaints is sitting up on your toes like this. We've discussed how there's some ergonomic considerations that can lead to this posture. However, what can happen is you can have your ergonomics perfect, but you can still have this predisposition to sit like this. Have a look at the angle that it's putting through your ankle. You've got a more obtuse angle than 90 degrees. And so what happens is when you sit up on your toes in this position, you're putting your ankle into a really unstable position. If you suffer from shin splints or if you suffer from ankle tendinopathies, this is a really vulnerable position that can lead to those complaints. The last ankle posture is when we tuck our toes underneath us when we're sitting at our desk. You can see from this position, you put a huge amount of stress and strain through the front aspect of your leg and your ankle. Think about that 90-degree angle that we've talked about. Look how far removed your foot is now from that position. This positioning leads to ankle tendinopathies and to shin splints because in this position, there's too much tension going through the top of your ankle. It's really important that you make sure that you're bringing that leg back around and the weight's through the heel. Pivoting around our feet is definitely a behaviour that can cause ankle complaints. This behaviour comes into play when we've got a doorway or a colleague that we liaise with a lot over the course of the day, or if we're a bit lazy when we get in and out of the desk, in that when we sit down in our chair, we swing around to face the computer, but our feet don't come all the way around with us. It's really important that our legs are like train tracks all the time. They should be parallel and in the right plane. When we add these torsional movements in through the ankle joint, it can lead to ankle irritation. This is a slight variation of the previous behaviour in that it's not that extreme rotation where you've got someone at, say, 45 degrees. This behaviour tends to happen when we have multiple things around our desk that we have to reference. For those who have a screen off at 45 degrees, you can have this predisposition to sit in this position in. It's really important, again, that your legs remain parallel at all times and that your hip, knee, and ankle are always in the same plane. As you can see, how you sit at your desk over the course of a work week is really important in maintaining really good musculoskeletal health. Fundamentally, in your body, every joint, ligament, muscle, tendon, bone, it's all got a really specific role, and if you use it how it's designed to be used, generally it'll look after you. What we're hoping is there was something in this video that jumped out at you, whether it was a behavioural quirk, whether it was a poor posture, whether it was an ergonomic issue. What we're hoping is one of those things jumped out at you, and if that aligns to your body complaint, there's every chance by addressing this and fixing this, your body complaint will settle down. If that wasn't the case and you're still a little bit unsure, what I would suggest is to continually just check yourself over the course of the day. What is my head doing? Where is my elbow? What are my feet doing? If you can continually check in with your body over the course of the day, you'll actually realize that you have a lot of consistency in terms of your postures and behaviors. And if you can identify those quirks and change them, generally you'll find that your body is in a much better position. If you would like a little bit of one-on-one attention, what I would suggest is booking for a clinical assessment with one of our staff. That way we can go through all fractions of your life to try and ascertain the cause of your complaint. Sometimes it's a little bit complicated and sometimes it's not easy and straightforward. And this is where a formal clinical assessment with one of our staff is probably the best idea for you. At the end of the day, how you sit at your desk affects your body both inside of the office, but actually more importantly, what it does outside of the office. At ERGO Collective, we're your partners in office health.